good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you're watching from. I'm Brian Manning. I'm an asylum lawyer, and just now we're getting online over here with live. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're watching from. I'm Brian Manning, and I'm an asylum lawyer. Excuse me. My law firm helps immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now as an asylum lawyer, all we do is asylum all day, every day. And today I'm going to answer your questions about winning asylum in the United States. So let me know what questions you have in the comments. But hey, before leaving your comments, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Always love to see where the community is at. Hey there, Change Calling on TikTok. Thanks for being with us. Over on YouTube, we got Corey Clemmings. We got Wahid Kochai. Sorry for mispronunciations, guys. I'll do my best. Good to see you guys. Thank you for being with us on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm Brian Manning. My law firm is called Political Asylum Lawyers. We're based in Texas, but it doesn't really matter where we're based because we help people all over the country. It doesn't matter where you live. We might be able to help you. So if you want to talk with us about your situation and see if we think that we're in a position to help you, then you should schedule a consultation. You can do that at winasylum.com. It's WINASYLUM.com. Winasylum.com. All right. All right. We got Amar in Virginia. Hello. We got Wahid says in San Jose, California. Nice. We got Veronica watching from California as well. All right. TikTok, where are you at? Let me know where you're watching from. Hello. Change Calling says, I'm going to address what you said about, I'm going to address Change Calling on TikTok. I'm going to address that question about Mandamus in just a second. Okay. But let me say a couple words as you go ahead, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from, and then start leaving your comments, your questions in the comments. But I want to say a couple words before we start answering your questions. Is your asylum lawyer actually helping you? Listen, when I was an asylum officer with the Houston Asylum Office in the government, I was actually shocked to see how little lawyers did to help their clients. Most of them did pretty much nothing, right? They maybe helped a little bit with the application, and that was about it. And they would say to their clients something like, oh, don't worry, it's not expected that, I would write a legal brief for this. Just, maybe if you get some evidence, something that helps, you think helps your case, send that over and I'll send it in. I'll pass it on for you. And, we'll just sort of dump it on the officer. And, we'll meet up 15 minutes before the interview and I'll tell you at that time, what kind of questions they're going to ask you. That's wholly inadequate. Listen, there's a lot that you can do to really greatly increase your chances for success in your asylum case. But most lawyers don't do these things. Most lawyers don't do pretty much anything, which I was shocked to see when I was an asylum officer with the government. You need to ask your lawyer if you're just now interviewing different lawyers, which you should think of it as an interview. If you have a consultation with a lawyer, think of it as an interview. They're auditioning to get your business. They're auditioning to be your lawyer. You need to ask them questions. You need to get a really good sense for whether they're the right person to give you just, the best chance possible to win your case. So you want to ask them, what are you going to do to help me win my case? What concretely, walk me through the steps that you're going to take, and concretely, what things are you going to do to help me win my case? What is your strategy for approaching an asylum case? And your strategy, particularly in my case, given the facts of my case. Most lawyers don't have a strategy. Most lawyers don't have an actual plan for how to build and present a strong asylum case. They just sort of wing it, okay? That's not okay. That's not going to give you the best possible chance to win your case. At my law firm, we have what we call an asylum action plan that consists of 3 phases. First is the application process, right? Like we've got to actually, apply, and that's actually the easiest of the 3 steps. The second step is where the real work starts, and that is with what we call an asylum roadmap, which is a filing that we're going to make where we're really fighting the case on paper, really explaining the case on paper. in this asylum roadmap, we call it that because the idea is, look, this packet is going to show the officer how to get to the answer yes in your case in the easiest way possible. And the asylum roadmap consists of 3 elements: a declaration from you that we're going to help develop together, evidence. We're going to make a list of evidence that we think you should try to get, and you're going to get as much of it as you can. And third, and this is crucial, a legal brief, where in my office, we actually explained the case on writing. We take the facts in writing. We take the facts and we apply them to the law and do the legal analysis to show how you meet all the requirements for asylum. And we cite to, in our brief, we cite to and discuss your evidence, but also country conditions information, reports, news updates, things like that about your country that help us support the arguments that we're making about why you deserve asylum. Okay. So those are the 3 elements of the asylum roadmap. And then that's basically fighting your case on paper. When you walk into that asylum interview, we want the officer to already be thinking, okay, hey, based on the documents in this case that they've sent in, I already understand the case and I can see how they meet the requirements for asylum. We want to precondition them to like you and your case and to be thinking, yeah, as long as this person shows up and says stuff that lines up with what's in their documents, then yeah, I plan to give them asylum. That's what we want the officer to be thinking before your interview. Okay. The third phase is a preparation and representation. We're going to prepare. Once your interview is scheduled, we're going to do a full-scale mock interview where you'll do everything that you'll experience on the day of the real interview. This is key because the interview is hard. It's harder than people expect. Even smart, sophisticated people have problems at this interview because it's hard. The officer doesn't just let you sort of explain yourself and tell your story. Rather, they're going to ask you question after question after question after question. They're constantly interrupting you. They're changing topics frequently. And a lot of them are anti-immigrant, and they're actually looking for excuses to deny you. But with the proper preparation, the proper practice, you can go into this real interview confident. You can go feeling prepared and ready to do a great job in explaining your case in an impactful, powerful way. But the key is this mock interview, this full scale, everything that you're going to experience on the day of the real interview, we're going to practice from beginning to end to give you confidence, to make you feel like you've been there before, you've done it, and you know how to handle it. You know how to tell your story in this difficult environment. All right. And then we're going to represent you during the interview to make sure your rights are protected, make sure the officer understands your case and sees why you should win asylum. So those, in summary, the 3 steps of the asylum action plan are the application, the asylum roadmap, and then the preparation and representation. Does your lawyer have a plan? If you already have an asylum lawyer, do they have a plan? Do they have an actual strategy for pursuing your case? Are they even going to write a legal brief? Because guess what? Most lawyers don't. Most lawyers don't take the time and effort to explain the case on paper and to do the legal analysis to help the officer understand why you should get asylum. It's a huge missed opportunity. This fact that most immigration lawyers do not write a legal brief to explain the case and show how you meet the requirements for asylum. So, if you're considering hiring a lawyer, ask them these questions. What's your plan? What's your strategy? What are the steps we're going to walk through to give me the best possible chance to win? Are you going to write a legal brief? Or are you going to package all of this up, all the declaration, the evidence, and the legal brief, and the country conditions information that you cite to in the legal brief? Are you going to package it up all in paginated with an index and paginated pages to make it easy for the asylum officer to actually work through and use and understand it? Are you going to do a full-scale mock interview with me and then a separate debrief session where you give me feedback and give me all the tips I need to know? What are you going to do for me? So whether you're interviewing potential lawyers or you already have a lawyer, it probably is worth having that hard conversation about, like, look, what are you going to do for me? And if they're not going to do things like this, you may want to consider switching lawyers. All right. This is too important. We're talking about your safety, your security, your future in America. It's too important to not give yourself the best possible chance to win your case, right? All right. With that, let's go to the questions. We had this change calling question on TikTok, which was, hey, I've heard that people need to wait 5 years to be able to sue and have success with the Mandamus lawsuit in the San Francisco asylum office. Is that true? So let me address it like this. Yeah, nice. Oh, good to see you too. Very good. Okay. So the question is this: how long should you wait before suing the government to force them to give you your interview when your asylum case is stalled? It's been pending for years. in my office, we think to have a good chance for success in getting your interview scheduled as a result of this asylum delay lawsuit we call the Mandamus lawsuit, we think 3 years is sufficient, except at the Los Angeles asylum office. In Los Angeles, we're saying 5 years. We're saying 5 years for Los Angeles. For all the other asylum offices, including San Francisco, including Houston, including New York, Miami, Chicago, all of them, except for LA. All of them except for LA, we're having success at 3 years, and we're doing them at 3 years. It works. We've had tremendous success with this. Past performance does not guarantee future results, but we filed over 100 of these. We haven't lost one yet. Our clients love it because it works. All right. Let me know if you want to talk. Winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, so we can talk. All right. Corey says, my interview is on the 9th of January. Nice, Corey. Where at? What asylum office? And where are you from? What country are you from? I'm curious to know. Good luck. Corey, it's, you know, it's too late, unfortunately, due to the holidays and our very, very packed schedule. It's too late to hire us for your interview, but I encourage you to, in my opinion, the next best thing is on our YouTube channel, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook. Go to YouTube. That's where my best stuff is. Okay, go to YouTube and search for Political Asylum Lawyers. You'll see my picture. The YouTube channel is called Political Asylum Lawyers, and there, click on playlists, and then you can see one of them is called like Asylum Interview videos, all about the asylum interview. You should watch all of those videos in that playlist, Corey, okay, before your interview to help you prepare, all right? All right. Wahid says that you have a USCIS asylum case pending for 9 months with USCIS. Can a U visa petition protect me from deportation? I don't know. I don't handle U visas. And I don't know what the impact of the Trump administration is going to be on this, on that question. So I don't know. I encourage you, if you really want to try to get more confidence around that question, talk to a lawyer, immigration lawyer who focuses on U visas. All right. All right. What else do we have? We got. My asylum case. Abdi Fatah says, my asylum case was dismissed by court and USCIS granted my TPS. Do I need to reapply for asylum if I got married to a U.S. citizen? Good question. The question is this. Let's say you had your asylum case pending in immigration court, but it got dismissed. And then you got temporary protected status, TPS. And you also got married to a U.S. citizen. Does it make sense in this circumstance to apply for asylum again with USCIS? I think so, until you get that green card in your hand. In fact, I would wait. I would apply for asylum, pursue asylum, and keep that claim going unless and until you get your 10-year marriage green card. With green cards based on marriage, you get like the first one that's for 2 years, and then you have to apply to remove the conditions on your green card. And at that stage, they sort of look back at the case and think again about decide whether they think it's a legitimate, real case that qualifies. And so sometimes people lose their green card at that stage. And so the point is, you don't yet have something permanent. TPS is not permanent. Your marriage to a U.S. citizen has not given you something permanent. So yeah, I would apply for asylum. If you're still afraid of being harmed in your country, then I would say, I mean, it almost certainly makes sense, right? I think you should talk to an asylum lawyer to really, make sure it makes sense in your case in particular. It probably does. For most people, I think that it will. So yeah, that's what I think. All right. What else do we have? Nice. Okay, cool. TikTok. Shrita says, what's the difference between dismissal and deportation in asylum? The question is the following. The question is this. In the immigration court context, what's the difference between a dismissal and an order of deportation. Deportation means that an order of deportation from the judge means that you lost your case. They said you don't qualify for, if you apply for asylum, you don't qualify for asylum, or and you could end up getting deported unless you get some other kind of relief from removal, like withholding of removal or protection under the Convention Against Torture, in which case you actually do get a removal order on your record, but it's just not executed. They don't carry it out. You don't have to actually leave. But to be clear, an order of deportation is not good. It means you didn't win your asylum case. A dismissal of your case means the case is like terminated. It goes away. It's no longer exists. In that scenario, you're not in deportation proceedings anymore, which is usually a good thing. If you want asylum, though, still, you're going to have to consider applying with USCIS. You should talk with an asylum lawyer about that if that's you. Okay? All right. All right. Vinesh says, if a person legally enters the U.S. on a student visa and then applies for asylum, if his asylum is denied, what's your question? What's the rest of the question, Vinesh? Can he continue his studies and stay in the U.S.? Good question. So the question is this. What happens if you come to the United States on a student visa and you're actually studying and you apply for asylum and your asylum gets denied? What is the impact of that denial on your immigration status, your student status? Probably none. I've never seen someone lose their student status because their asylum case gets denied. I have seen people with a pending asylum case get denied a change of status into student status, from like tourist status into student status, because USCIS says, well, we see that you've got an asylum application pending, and therefore we think that you want to stay here permanently, and that's inconsistent with what you're supposed to have as your intent as a student. So I've seen it happen, the denial front, and when you're changing into student status, but I've never seen student status taken away after someone applies for asylum. So I think you should be able to stay until the end of your student status if you get denied asylum. Okay? All right. We've got... Nice. Very nice. Okay. Thanks for letting me know about that. Okay, so how long are you going? Freedom for Vietnam says how. Basically, they applied six months ago for asylum. They've got their work permit and social security card. How long do they have to wait for the interview? And they're in Pennsylvania. So the question is this: how long can you expect to wait to get your asylum interview after you apply for asylum with USCIS? Listen, it's impossible to predict this with any real confidence or certainty, but what I can tell you is that recently, people who have applied in the last couple or few months recently, a lot of people, I think most, have been getting their interviews really, really quickly, within 2 or 3 months, sometimes within 1 month of applying. However, if you applied several months ago, like let's say if you applied 5 or 6 months ago and you have not gotten your interview, then unfortunately, I think it could be a very, very long time until you get your interview. Probably many months, probably in fact years, unless you get to a certain point where you've been waiting for about 3 years or more and then you sue to force your interview. Why does this happen? That some people, if you applied 6 months ago, you might have to wait years, but if you apply today, you might get your interview 4 weeks from now. It's complicated. It's the rules and the prioritization of scheduling interviews is really complicated, but that's how it is right now. Okay. Listen, I think it's unlikely, Freedom for Vietnam, that you're going to get your interview soon. But if you want help building your case and you want us to do what I was explaining earlier, this asylum roadmap where we really build the case on paper, we can do that even where you are right now, where you've applied, but you don't have an interview scheduled and you might not for a long time. We can work on your case by doing that asylum roadmap. If you want help with that, then go to winasylum.com. By the way, I talked earlier about Mandamus. This is the lawsuit where we're suing the federal government and we're asking the judge to tell USCIS, hey, you got to do your job. This case has been pending for too long. This delay is unreasonable. Do your job. Give the person the interview and the decision. We're offering a discount on that of $500 for the next 17 days. This discount of $500 expires 11:59 p.m. on December 31st, 2024. So in other words, in the new year, this discount of $500 is gone. So if you've been thinking about, maybe you want to move your case forward, get your interview scheduled finally so that you can win your case and get confidence about your future, get certainty about your future. Now is the time, both because of this discount is a nice thing, right? Save $500, but more importantly is the Trump effect. And, so the question is this: what effect is a second Trump administration going to have on asylum seekers? It's going to have a big one. A lot of the policies that the Trump administration is going to put into place are going to be focused on the southern border, on people that are coming to the border. It's going to make it harder for people to get into the country and to apply for asylum. And for people that do get through, it's going to make it harder for them to win asylum if you came to the southern border. However, it will also affect people that are already here, both at the asylum office and the immigration courts. There will be some formal policies, especially like the way that the administration interprets the asylum laws, that are going to exclude whole classes of people from being eligible for asylum. Also, there's just going to be more of an anti-immigrant sentiment that is going to make it harder to win asylum. It's going to lead to more denials. If your case has been pending with USCIS for several years, this means you should sue to force it ahead now before things get worse. I truly believe that with every passing month that Trump is in power again, I think it's going to get harder and harder to win asylum. I think the approval rates are going to decline. Rejections are going to increase over time when Trump is back in office. So if you've been waiting for your asylum interview for multiple years, we should talk. We should talk about about this. All right. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Again, WINASYLUM.com, and that's where you can, schedule this appointment. We want to talk with you on what's called an asylum strategy session. This is where we're going to go deep into your situation. We're going to ask a lot of questions and get a lot of information about you, about your goals, your priorities, and your case, to really understand your situation and to be able to tell you whether we think that we can help you. And if we think that we can, then we're going to tell you how. We're going to lay out the actual concrete steps, the asylum action plan that we'll put into place for you to give you the best possible chance to secure your future in America through asylum. Okay. All right. Wahid says, my asylum is filed in one online account and my EAD renewal in another USCIS account. Could that cause delays? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't see why that would cause delays. All right. All right. Nice. All right. Good question. AKA says, if my asylum was granted on political grounds and the regime in my home country has since changed, will applying for a green card lead to my asylum status being reconsidered or revoked? So here's how I'll address it. The question is this. Let's say you win asylum, but then there's a change in conditions or a change in circumstances that makes it, after the fact, after you've won, makes it, to where it look like you might not be in danger anymore. For example, if you win based on political grounds because you're being persecuted by a government that's in power that's bad, but then there's elections or whatever, something happens and that government is gone and the new guys are probably better and they're not threatening you and you're not really at risk from them. When you go to apply for your green card for permanent residency, are you at risk of them saying, no, you don't qualify for your green card and we're going to take away your asylum because you don't need it anymore because there's been a change? And the risk that you faced previously, you don't face anymore. Is that likely to happen? No, we don't normally see that happen. With Trump, could it happen? It's possible. You need to be careful. You need to present a really good green card application and be ready for anything. I think it's unlikely. But listen, it's all the more important now with Trump that you do things well and correctly and be ready for anything. So in your green card application, I definitely recommend that you do that with a lawyer, okay? We got Corey says he's from Jamaica. Nice. Okay. I told Corey earlier I recommended watching our playlist of Asylum interview videos on YouTube, all the tutorials, training videos that I have. He said, I know. I've watched practically all of your videos. Nice. Thank you. You're welcome, Corey. Nice. I'm glad. I hope you find them helpful. I'm a Kenyan citizen facing human rights violations in my country since 2019, says Damaris. I've tried several times to seek help from UNHCR, but no help. All this is affected by mental health. I live in fear. I'm really sorry to hear that. That sounds really tough. Sorry that you're facing these challenges. Or if you're in Kenya, yeah. Where are you, Damaris? Unfortunately, in my office, we're only able to help people that are already in the United States. So keep that in mind. But listen, I'm hoping for the best for you. Okay. Prosper Kumka says, you're an expert and you know this job. Thank you. My question is, I appreciate that. Is it advisable to expedite my asylum case on grounds of urgent humanitarian reasons because my case has been pending for two years? The question is what is the question? You said, is it advisable to expedite? Okay. The question is this. Is it a good idea to seek to have your case expedited on urgent humanitarian grounds if you're not yet in a position where you're likely to have success with suing the government to force them to give you your interview? So listen, a lawsuit is better. It's powerful. It works. Suing the government in an asylum delay lawsuit, we call a Mandamus lawsuit, is a very powerful tool for getting your interview scheduled, moving your case forward. But to have success with that, to have a good chance for success, I think you have to be waiting at least 3 years at every asylum office except Los Angeles. Los Angeles right now, we're saying 5 years. So let's say if you've only been waiting 2 years, is it a good idea to do a humanitarian expedite request? It can't hurt. The approval chances for that are low, but there's no risk. If they say no, but it doesn't hurt your case. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't negatively impact your case at all. So if you can make a real argument, if it's a serious thing, then sure, go for it because it can't hurt. Okay. Belladan says, I applied for Mandamus last week. Do you think it was a wise move because Trump will likely take over before I get an interview? I don't want to be denied. Okay, good. That's a good question. This is a really important point. Let me address it like this. The question is this. Does it really make sense to move your asylum case forward now through a Mandamus lawsuit, given that, Trump is coming back and is going to be denying a lot of people? Probably so. And I think it's actually even all the more important to move this forward as quickly as possible. Why? Listen, you're going to face your interview at some point. If you don't sue, it's probably going to be multiple years, right? I think in general, the more time that passes between the events in your country and the time that you have your interview, the harder it is to win. I think it's hard to convince the asylum officer. Also, conditions in your country could change in a way that is either hurts your case or a way that makes it look like the conditions are better such that it hurts your case. But listen, with Trump specifically, I think the approval rates are just going to go down the longer he's in office, both because of formal policies that he's going to pass, but also just the general anti-immigrant sentiment and atmosphere that he brings. With every passing month of Trump in power, I think it's going to get harder and harder to win. So yeah, I do think it makes sense to go forward right now with a Mandamus lawsuit to get your interview sooner rather than later, as soon as possible. Okay. That's what I think. So yeah, I think it's now more than ever important to push your case forward. Look, you're going to have to face it eventually. Okay. Whether that's a year from now, 3 years from now, 6 years from now, I think in general that you have a better chance of winning for most people if you do it now, okay, rather than waiting. And especially if you get unlucky and you get your interview in year 4 of the Trump administration, gosh, who knows where we'll be there in terms of the anti-immigrant atmosphere at the asylum office and the actual policies in place that are going to make it harder to win asylum. So yeah, Belladan, I think it was a good idea to file your Mandamus lawsuit. All right. AZ says, can the persecutor be a family member? Good question. The question is this. Can you win asylum when the persecutor is a family member? So listen, sometimes people will think that, you can only win asylum if it's the government, like the police or the military or something like that, that is the persecutors, the bad guys doing the bad things to you. But that's not true. You can win when it's what we call a private actor, or like a normal citizen who doesn't work for the government. You can win when they are the persecutors. It's a little bit harder. You have to show that the government is either unable or unwilling to control the feared persecutor. It's like this kind of complicated legal standard that you have to do more to show that the government either like is involved, or at least would turn a blind eye, or just is overwhelmed and can't be counted on to protect you from this kind of persecution. And yeah, it can actually even be a family member can be the persecutor. And it is in a lot of cases. There's like a lot of domestic violence cases. There's a lot of female genital mutilation cases where, and all other kinds where the persecutor is a family member and you can still win. Okay. Observateur says, I've often heard that immigration judges are independent. Why do people say that with the new administration there'll be a decrease in protection recipients? How can the administration impact the judges' decisions? Good question. The question is this. If immigration judges are supposedly independent, then how is it that a Trump administration, the second one, could negatively affect people's chances for winning asylum? Which is to say, why would denials go up in immigration court if these judges are supposed to be independent? Well, they're not independent. They're not part of the judicial branch. You know, there's three branches of government, right? And most judges that you hear about are actually judges that are part of the judicial branch, and they are more independent than immigration judges. They don't directly report to, and the chain of command does not go up to Trump. Immigration judges are different. They're not real judges. They're what's called administrative judges. They're part of the executive branch. Their chain of command does go up to Trump. So they're more likely to be influenced. That's the thing. They are more likely to be influenced because they're not independent, actually. They work for the executive branch. Okay? So yeah, it's going to make a big impact. All right. My friend, Yak says, my friend applied for asylum in May 2023. What will happen to her when President Trump takes office on January 20th, 2025? I need your advice. Thanks. I think it's going to be harder with Trump in power. I think with every passing month that he's in power, it's going to become increasingly hard. So you got to do an even better job. You got to do a better job explaining your case, preparing your case in writing, arguing your case in writing, and then preparing for your interview and presenting yourself at the interview. Everything's got to be better, okay? Kamran Malik says, can I process for EB2 while my affirmative asylum case is pending? It's complicated. I don't really know. I don't handle business or employment-based or investment-based status at all. I just do asylum. So you should really talk to someone who focuses on EB2 for that. The short answer, though, Malik, is like maybe. It depends on several things. And even then, even if it looks like, okay, I think I meet the actual requirements to be able to get the EB while my asylum is pending, some field offices of USCIS that adjudicate the EB2 just like don't apply it correctly, don't apply the law, and they still deny people. All right. So VMView says, hello, Brian. Good morning. VMView. I don't know who VMView is, but I know that it's one of our clients whom we helped win asylum after we sued the government to force the government to give them their interview. Because VMView said this yesterday on a Asylum Answer show live. So thank you for joining us, VMView. I don't know who it is because I don't know that's VMView is their YouTube handle. I don't know what their real name is. Okay, what is the meaning of applicants found credible with no nexus? At this situation, can the applicant still file the application form? Are you talking about, Melvis, are you talking about a credible fear decision? Is this a credible fear? Did you have were you detained and then you had a credible fear interview and the decision said that you were credible, but it said there was no nexus? What does that mean? Yeah, I think that's what you're asking. I'll address it like this. The question is this. If you get a credible fear decision that is a positive decision, yet it says that there's no nexus to a protected ground, what does that mean? And can you apply for asylum still? Well, second part first, yes, if you got a positive credible fear determination, that means that you're allowed to stay in the country and fight your asylum case. You have to apply. You have to actually fill out and file the application form. That's the good news. The fact that the asylum officer who did your credible fear interview said there was no nexus, what that means is they're saying, we think that the person, that any harm that they fear in the future, if it happens, it wouldn't really be motivated by the fact that you, asylum applicant, possess one of the 5 protected grounds under U.S. asylum law: race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or something called membership in a particular social group. However, because you got a positive, I think they probably thought that you might qualify for protection under the Convention Against Torture, which is different. But yeah, you should apply for asylum if you're afraid of being harmed in your country. Okay. So basically, it's like they thought you didn't. They think you don't qualify technically for asylum because of this. The motivation of the persecutors doesn't have to do, in their opinion, with the fact that you possess one of those 5 protected characteristics. Okay, but that doesn't mean you can't win. The immigration judge might disagree. They might say, no, we think there is a nexus to a protected ground. Okay. Lale89 says, hello, Mr. Bryant. Do you help with filing the green card application after winning asylum? I need your help. Yes, we do. Listen, 99% of our cases are asylum. The only other thing that we do, okay, other than like helping with the work permit, the only other real substantive thing that we do besides asylum is green card applications for asylees. Okay, that's it. We don't do green cards. We don't handle cases of green cards based on marriage, based on employment. We don't do naturalization, like the citizenship stuff. We don't do that. All we do is asylum plus green card application, only where it's based on asylum, where the person is an asylee who then goes on to apply for the green card. That's the only green card cases we do. So the answer is yes, you should talk with us. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. That's where you can schedule a consultation with us so we can see what's going on and tell you whether we think we're in a position to help you, okay? And again, listen, if you've been waiting for multiple years for your interview, or if you applied multiple years ago and then you had your asylum interview, but you've been waiting for your decision for a while, you can sue the government. That's right. The famous Mandamus lawsuit works not just in the context of forcing the government to give you an interview, but it also works to force them to give you a decision after your asylum interview. Because sometimes, listen, people will sometimes get their interview and they'll wait weeks and be like, where's my decision? And then they'll wait months and be like, where's my decision? Sometimes they even wait years after their interview to get the decision. Listen, what happens here, or what matters here for purposes of whether you have a good chance to have success with this lawsuit in terms of the time that you've been waiting, is not the time between your interview and today. It's the time between when you filed your application for asylum and today. If that time is 3 years or more, you're in a good chance for success with this lawsuit of forcing the government to give you your asylum interview. 3 years everywhere except Los Angeles Asylum Office. Los Angeles Asylum Office right now, we're saying 5 years minimum. Everywhere else, we're having success at 3 years. We're filing at 3 years, okay? For both getting the interview and for if you need to get the decision, if you're waiting on your decision after the interview, okay? Nice. We got Fatumata sounding off on YouTube who says, hi, Brian, my great immigration lawyer. I transferred my case to him. Within 1 year, I got my interview and got approved through Mandamus. Thanks, Sir Brian. He's good, guys, says Fatumata. Thank you, Fatumata, for the unpaid advertisement, the unpaid promotion. I appreciate it. Very kind of you to come on and say that. Yeah, Fatumata is a client of ours that had another lawyer and wasn't getting the support they needed. And so Fatumata came over to us. We sued the government, got the interview scheduled, and won the case. Okay. This Mandamus tool that I've been talking about is extremely effective. Our clients love it. Fatumata loves it. Who was the other one that I said earlier? It's one of my clients, but I don't know who it is because their real name is not used on YouTube. It's a YouTube handle. VMView, whoever that is. One of my clients, I'm not sure who, also had the same thing. They hired us. We sued the government to get their interview. It worked. We worked with them to strengthen the underlying asylum case through our 3-step asylum action plan. and won the case. And now they've got certainty about their future in America through asylum. Okay. Algamati says, I got my first master calendar hearing, and then they gave me a second hearing. But on the day of the second hearing, it got canceled. And then am I going to have another second hearing, or is it going to go straight to the individual hearing? I don't know. It could be either one. It could be either one. It depends on why they had scheduled a second master calendar in the first place. I don't know. It's impossible to say. It could be either one. It could be another master calendar, or they could just be like, nah, forget it. We're just going to do that. Just go straight to the individual. Yak says, thank you. I'll schedule an appointment with you soon in a few days. Have a blessed day today and tomorrow. Actually, Yak, listen, good. I'm glad to hear it. But listen, our appointment slots fill up really quickly, especially right now. There's a lot of people that are really concerned, understandably, about the current political context and what's coming with Trump. So our our consultation slots are in high demand. If you want to talk with one of our asylum professionals, you should go right now and schedule the consultation, because we just opened up a batch of them for, I think, the next week, maybe even 2 weeks. So there's some availability right now, but those fill up quickly. Okay. Go to winasylum.com to schedule it. WINASYLUM.com. I'm going to put that in the chat. Winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule a consultation with us, what we call an asylum strategy session. And listen, right now they're free. We used to charge. In the moment, they're free with my colleagues. Actually, I usually don't personally do consultations often myself. I'm doing some right now. I've got some availability on my calendar for those right now. For me, if you want to talk personally with me, we do charge. It's $350. In January, if I continue doing some of these, it's going to be $450. But right now it's $350 if you want to talk with me personally. But to do the consultation with one of my colleagues, one of our asylum professionals, it's free, and you'll be in great hands with them. They're highly trained. They're empathetic, lovely people who really want to get to know you, get to know your case and assess it and tell you whether we think we're in a position to help you increase your chances for asylum success. Okay. How does Legacy says, how does firm resettlement affect an asylum case, and what evidence is needed to address it? The question is this: what is firm resettlement, and what could it mean for your asylum case, and how do you deal with it? Listen, the idea here is, and not the idea, the rule is that if after leaving your country for the last time and before coming to the United States, you were physically present in another country, what's called a third country, one or more of them, if while you were physically present there, you had permanent residency or a so-called offer to get permanent residency, then you won't get asylum in the United States. You will be considered to have been firmly resettled in that third country. The idea is like, look, you were somewhere else where you were safe and you could have stayed permanently. You should have just stayed there. Why are you coming to us and burdening us, the United States, when you could have just stayed there and been okay? We're not going to give you asylum under that circumstance. But listen, that's the rule. There are exceptions, though. Most commonly, it's like if you were still really at risk in that country, you can prove that, and you can get around the firm resettlement bar and still win asylum. Okay? This comes up all the time. This is not something that's like some really rare thing in asylum law. We see it all the time. Tons of our clients, not tons, but yeah, a lot of our clients, have this issue where they might have this bar applicable in their case. And we have to argue about, first of all, whether it actually applies in their case at all. And if so, whether they qualify for an exception under the law that has to do with exceptions. It's tricky. It's complicated stuff. So you should, if you think that it might apply in your case at all, you definitely need to talk with an asylum lawyer. It's tricky, and it does keep lots of people from winning asylum. Okay. That's it. I'm Brian Manning, and my law firm is called Political Asylum Lawyers, and we're based in Texas, but it doesn't matter because we help people all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. We want to talk with you about your situation. Go right now to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, to schedule an asylum strategy session so we can see if we think we can help you, and if so, explain to you exactly what that would look like, how we can support you. All right. Until next time, it's truly an honor to support you in your asylum.